What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and I want to take the time today to talk about the beautiful city of Chicago, and specifically 17 things that I love about living in Chicago from a local and from somebody that is not from Chicago originally. So I moved to Chicago in 2013 after graduating from college, originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and through the time of me being here over the last decade, I've had a lot of family members, a lot of friends that live in other cities. They've just asked me like, hey, do you see yourself in Chicago long term? What do you love about Chicago? What don't you like about Chicago? And honestly, my answer over the years, every single year, I enjoy it more and more. I tend to fall more and more in love with the city every single year that I'm here. So if you would have asked me 7 years ago, do I see myself in Chicago long term? I probably would have said no. I probably would have ended up in chasing the California sunshine, or maybe moving to South Florida or somewhere else in the country. However, today, and ever since probably the 6 or 7 year mark for me living in Chicago, I can confidently say I plan on being in Chicago long term. So these 17 reasons are not all of the reasons, but these are some specific and some more general reasons why I personally love living in Chicago from a local, from a resident for the last decade. And I hope that this is valuable and enjoyable. And I would love to hear anything that you love about Chicago down in the comments. So without further ado, let's get on into today's video. Let's go. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Jordan Pyle, and I'm your go-to Chicago real estate agent. My team and I have been servicing the city of Chicago for the last 10 years, and we'd be very honored to help you in your real estate search. So whether you're looking to make a move to Chicago and you're relocating, or maybe you already live here and you're just looking to either buy a new place or to sell your place, my team and I would be honored to serve you in your real estate goals. So without further ado, if you have any questions whatsoever, there's a lot of great resources down in the description. But simply, if you're ready to engage with us and to take your real estate search to the next level, do us a favor, just text the number on the screen, and a team member or myself will get in touch with you within 24 hours. So lastly, if you could do us a huge favor, the YouTube algorithm loves this. If you could subscribe, like, comment, and definitely turn on notifications so that you can be the very first to know about all things living and moving to Chicago. All right, guys, let's get into the 17 things that I love as a resident about living in Chicago. All right, first up on the list, the number one thing for the 17 things I love about living in Chicago, well, it's the airport system and basically the ease of transportation via flights anywhere in the country. So the fact that we are a Midwest city means you can go to New York, you can go to the Pacific Northwest, you can go to Southern California, you can go to South Florida, Texas. You can really get anywhere around the country, and I would say less than like 4.5 hours. So comparative, if you're living out in LA and you're trying to get to New York, or New York to LA, that's gonna take you a lot more time. So for being able to just kind of quickly pack a bag and go travel somewhere, or maybe if it's even a weekend trip and you wanna go take a flight somewhere else in the country, Chicago is primarily located and positioned, having both O'Hare and Midway, and specifically O'Hare being an international airport. You can pretty much get a direct flight anywhere in the entire country. So that's the first thing I love so much about being in Chicago, is the Midwestern location and the ease and the ability to basically access the entire US in a 3 or 4 hour flight. All right, number 2 on the list, and honestly probably my favorite part about Chicago, and not specifically the water, but Lake Michigan and all the attractions that you can do around Lake Michigan. So if you've been watching my channel, you know I'm an avid runner, cycler, I swim. I'm not currently in a triathlon training mode, but I am training for a first ultra marathon. So being able to just get out on the lakefront, whether I'm even walking, whether I'm riding or cycling or swimming in actual Lake Michigan, just having that beautiful body of water that almost feels like an ocean. It's actually funny, when I first moved to Chicago back in 2013, accidentally, I knew it wasn't an ocean, but it really feels like it is because it's such a massive body of water and you can't see the other side. And I actually messed up in conversation and said, hey guys, let's go to the ocean today, meaning let's go to the beach next to Lake Michigan. However, Lake Michigan, you know, if you're a boater, you have you have jet skis, you like to kayak, whatever the thing is that you like to do, just being by that body of water and then looking back towards the beautiful and arguably the most beautiful skyline in the entire country, it's just a juxtaposition that is just very delightful. And I don't even say delightful that often, but honestly, that's just what it is. So I spend a ton of time on the lakefront and doing things around Lake Michigan, and I know a lot of people flock to the east side of the city in Lake Michigan for those exact same reasons. So that's the number 2 reason why I love living in Chicago. All right, the 3rd reason on the list of why people, and including myself, love living in Chicago, well, it's a sports enthusiast dream, right? You have so many different professional sports teams, from 2 Major League Baseball teams. You have the Chicago Cubs, you have the Chicago White Sox, you have the Chicago Bulls for the NBA, you have the Chicago Blackhawks, you have the Chicago Fire for soccer, and the list goes on and on. So that's just a few of the ones that are most, oh, of course I gotta mention the Bears. I'm actually not a Bears fan because I'm from Indiana, so I'm actually a Colts fan. But all of those different teams, and just in general, the ability to be able to catch a sporting event pretty much any day of the week here in Chicago is something that a lot of people love about Chicago, including myself. 4th reason I love living in Chicago is the cultural diversity. Chicago truly is a melting pot. So no matter where you're from or what your interests are, or what you're trying to do in terms of networking, you can always find diverse cultures throughout the city of Chicago. There's over 77 different neighborhoods, and each one of those neighborhoods has a different feel. It has a different makeup in terms of demographic and the population. So really, whatever you're looking for or whatever your background is, you can feel at home here in Chicago. And if you like to get out of your comfort zone and you like to be more cultured and you like to meet other people and other traditions and different things from other cultures, you have the ability to do that basically in any of these different areas around Chicago. So yes, there's some neighborhoods in Chicago that are primarily, one culture or the other, but you don't have to go far in order to experience the diverse range of cultures in Chicago. And that's just something I love so much. I just love meeting people from all different backgrounds and all different races and ethnicities, and it's just very cool to have that right here in the Midwest in the city of Chicago. But the 5th reason I love Chicago is you have diverse job opportunities. And while I'm a real estate agent and I'm not necessarily looking for another job, a lot of people are moving to Chicago because of job opportunities, especially now that the pandemic is over. You have a lot of people going back to the office and a lot of people that are flocking to Chicago, despite what you hear about a ton of people leaving Chicago. And I've actually, said some things about that on previous videos, but you have a lot of people moving here. You have corporations here, such as United, you have McDonald's, you have Google. The list goes on and on for all these large major corporations that people are finding job opportunities here for work. You also have a great startup scene. You have 1871 in the Merchandise Mart, which really encourages, small businesses and startups and entrepreneurs. So if you're looking for a good job and a place in a city to build a career, I think Chicago is definitely at the top of the list for one of the best cities and markets for you to have a robust job market and opportunities. All right, the 6th reason that you're gonna love living in Chicago is public transportation system. So you may have heard of the L and you may have heard of the grid system here in Chicago, and it is an intricate network of different transportation options that allows you to really get anywhere in the city with pretty good ease. So whether you're taking the public transit and you're taking the train to and from work every day, or maybe you're just trying to explore different neighborhoods out of those 77 different neighborhoods, if you do not have a car here in Chicago, it is one of the most walkable and accessible cities in the country, and that is a huge reason why so many people love to call Chicago home. Now personally, I like to drive everywhere, and I like to drive and need to drive for my work. Being a real estate agent, I'm driving people in my car, going from appointment to appointment. So yes, you're gonna run into some traffic and things like that, but overall, if you do not have a car or you're just trying to access different parts of the city in general, well, the city is designed in a way that is very efficient, and I think it's one of the main reasons people decide to live in Chicago. All right, number 7, I think we're on number 7, is cost of living for a major metropolitan city is actually very low compared to some of the others. So I have people, like I said at the start of this video, moving to Chicago, reaching out to me, talking about upcoming moves to Chicago every single day and week. And when they look around the country on where they want to call their next home, time and time again, I get people saying, well, I was actually surprised at the cost of living, and specifically what it costs to live in terms of either rental prices or home values. So if you're gonna compare to California, or you're gonna compare to Miami or New York or Boston, Chicago is a very affordable city, despite a lot of people saying it's expensive. And of course, it's a huge city. It's one of the biggest cities in the country. So if you're coming from a small little town in Nebraska or maybe somewhere in Wyoming, yes, it's gonna cost you more. But if you're comparing major metropolitans, Chicago has a great standard of living and cost of living that is a lot less than other major metropolitans. So that is the 7th reason why personally I love living here, and so many other people love living in Chicago. All right, number 8 on the list, we are talking about beautiful, and it's actually happening right now outside, summertime shy. Summertime in Chicago, hands down, best city in the entire world for about 100 days. So yes, we do have the different seasons. You do get June, July, and August. If you're gonna visit anywhere and you're gonna come to Chicago and visit any time, you're gonna wanna come during one of those months. And yes, expect for it to be hot, to be congested, expect there to be a lot of things going on, but there's just something about summertime Chi that really gets me excited. And it's the weather, you know, it is a little bit humid here, but you do have access to Lake Michigan and the lakefront, which typically is a little bit cooler. You get a nice breeze, and just the energy of the city when it's nice out, it just completely comes alive. So you have a ton of neighborhood rooftop bars, you have different beer gardens, you have street festivals basically throughout the entire summer. So if you're gonna pick a place to spend your June, July, and your August, Chicago is one that you want to make a significant investment in. And come and check out Chicago if you're thinking about moving here during those months, because it's gonna feel completely different. And it really reminds us every single year as locals why it's important for us to bear the winter and bear some of the colder months, because on the other side of that, it's just absolute bliss. All right, number 9 on the list for 17 reasons you want to live in Chicago and why I love to live in Chicago is the food and dining experiences. Now, I am not per se a foodie, so to speak. There are a lot of people that have a lot more diverse palates than I do, but pretty much anything that you want to find, whether it be sushi, whether it's classic Chicago pizza or a hot dog, or you like fine dining or just something a little bit more casual, you can pretty much find any type of dining and food experiences here in Chicago, from Michelin star restaurants all the way to your mom and pop restaurant for you to go and get a Chicago dog. So something that I know a ton of people really place a lot of value and emphasis in Chicago is the amount of food options and cultural experiences as it relates to food and dining. All right, number 10 on the list, I think we're at 10, and if I miss one or two, then it is what it is, but I'm gonna give you as much as I can here that I hope is valuable. And the next thing is networking and business opportunities. So we talked about the job market, but there is overall a younger population, and a lot of the population, let's call them millennials, are in this career growth stage, in this career growth mode. So pretty much any night of the week, you can find networking opportunities. You can go to try to meet new people that have different interests and maybe same or similar interests as you. So maybe it's not in a business landscape, but you have running communities, you have different chess communities, you have give back communities where people are going and basically giving their time and philanthropy to help out in certain communities. So there's just a lot of different networking opportunities for you to meet people, to make friends, and it's something that I find people in Chicago are incredibly approachable, and everyone is very open to meeting new people and building new relationships. So that is the number 10 reason I love living in Chicago. All right, the 11th reason on the list, and I'm not much of a drinker or a partier, but of course I love to go out and socialize, and you cannot run out of options if you're trying to have a good night out on the town. So whether that's just going to get some wine or some margaritas, or you're actually looking to go clubbing, you can find anything in Chicago, you know. So I used to live in a neighborhood called River North. So in River North, you have a lot of your club scene. So if you want to go for the late night, you know, 4 a.m. bars, you can find that. If you want to go and, you know, kind of have a little bit more fine dining, where maybe you're getting a cocktail or two with a significant other, you know, there's just so many awesome places for you to go out and spend your evenings. So basically anytime from Thursday afternoon and evening through Friday and Saturday and even Sunday, you're gonna find a pretty vibrant and active scene of people going out, having a good time, making connections, you know, cheersing and celebrating over food and over drinks. And so if you're looking to have a social life and basically a plethora of opportunities for you to meet new people and go out and kind of relax a little bit and maybe take your mind off of certain things, well, the nightlife here in Chicago is one of the best. The number 11 reason I love Chicago is basically all of the different opportunities for you to be active. And this is just something that I am constantly either walking outside or, you know, going on a run on the lakefront. But like I said before, if you're more of a social person, you like to do things in groups, well, there's tons of different intramural activities such as beach volleyball, you have kickball, you have softball, both 16-inch and regular softball. You have different soccer leagues, swimming meetups, you know, different groups that meet up at a certain location and go swimming in Lake Michigan every week. So if you're looking to be active and you're looking to do it with a group of people, well, again, you're not gonna have a shortage of any opportunities for you to do so. But yeah, in terms of being active and doing it with groups of people, well, there's tons of opportunity for you there. All right, number 12 on the list is the comedy scene. So the last 5 or so here, I'm gonna actually get a little bit more specific. So a lot of the ones in the beginning were more general stuff. Now I'm gonna start naming off a few different things that I specifically like. So the first is the comedy scene. And specifically there's Zanies and then there's Second City. So those 2 different places are actually right by each other in Old Town. So if you're looking to go catch a show, whether it be stand-up or improv, Second City is known for its improv. People like Steve Carell have come out of Second City, and a lot of other notable comedians and actresses and actors. And then if you wanna go something a little bit more stand-up, you have Zanies across the street on Wells Street here in Chicago. And so the comedy scenes are great. It's a great date spot if you wanna go and take somebody that you are dating, or maybe it's even a significant other, or you have friends or family in town and you want a good night out with an awesome laugh. Well, Zanies and or Second City are great options for that. All right, so number 13 on the list, coming in hot, is pizza. You can't talk about Chicago and things that we love about Chicago without talking about pizza, so I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm not even gonna go into details because you have to try a bunch of different ones if you're here. Maybe it's Lou Malnati's, maybe it's Gino's East, maybe it's Happy Camper. There's a lot of different good pizza options, both the famous deep dish pizza. You have Chicago Pizza and Oven Grinder, which is kind of a classic spot in Lincoln Park. You're gonna have to wait a little bit if you wanna get in there. The line's usually out the door, but can't talk about Chicago, like I said, without talking about pizza, and that comes in at the number 13 reason why I love living in Chicago. All right, number 14 reason is a specific health club that I go to. It's called East Bank Club. This is located in River North, right at basically Hubbard and Larrabee. And this is the club that I belong to for the last couple years. It's about 220 bucks a month, so it's not cheap, but anything that you can imagine, you can get there. So if you're a tennis player, there's numerous tennis courts, there's basketball courts, convenience store, there's dry cleaners, there's parking there if you need it. Of course, a luxurious gym, you have a cold plunge, you have saunas, you have steam rooms, swimming pools, both indoor and outdoor. I mean, the list goes on and on. Even though I don't live in River North anymore like I used to, I actually still drive about 15 minutes, about 4 or 5 times a week to go to East Bank Club because I love it so much. So that's the number 14 reason I love living in Chicago. All right, number 15 reason I love living in Chicago is a specific show. I'm gonna call it a show, but it's called the Air and Water Show. So this usually happens right around my birthday in August, and this is where all the planes go out and they do their trick show. So you get tons of people, I think it's like 1 million plus people every single year flock to Lake Michigan and kind of the Lakeshore Path just to watch this incredible display of fighter jets and different types of planes that are basically putting on a show and doing tricks in the air, and I don't even know what it's all called, but if you can find a cozy spot to basically prop up and be able to watch the Air and Water Show in August every single year, whether it's actually from, you know, North Avenue Beach or Oak Street Beach, or even better, if you have a friend that has a rooftop that's on Lakeshore Drive, well, you're gonna have a great show, and it's something that a lot of people throw parties around, and my 15th reason I love living in Chicago. All right, number 16 on the list, we only have 2 left. Number 16 on the list, and I can't not go this whole video without talking a little bit of real estate. So you have everything from gorgeous brownstones and graystones to walk-up single-family homes, detached, you know, millions of dollars. You have high-rise condos with incredible lake and city views. So the real estate here is very diverse. You can either find condos, you can find single-family homes, you can find townhomes, multi-unit properties. So that's one reason I love Chicago as well, is that all these different neighborhoods I talked about, those 77 different ones, they all kind of have a different makeup of property types. So depending on what you like and kind of what your feel for, what your family's looking for, and the ultimate lifestyle that you're looking to live, well, you can find great real estate options, both for sale and for rent here in Chicago. All right, number 17 on the list, and this is just very, very near and dear to my heart, but my family is now located in Michigan. My parents have a lake house in Kalamazoo area, and then the rest of my extended family and friends are in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So for me personally, being in Chicago, it's about a 2 hour and 30-minute drive to be able to go and see my family. So I have 2 young nieces, and both of my parents are still around, my sister, my brother-in-law, and so many other friends from high school that I can go on a weekend trip and go spend time with them. So if you're from the Midwest like I am, being in a big city in the Midwest like Chicago is great, but if you want to go get away from the city, find some green space, and really just reset with your family, well, they're only a couple hours away. So that is the final thing that I love about living in Chicago. Those are just 17. There's probably 40 or 50 different ones that I could also mention, but these are the 17 main reasons that I love living in Chicago. So I hope this has been helpful for you. If it has, please do us a favor and like, comment, and subscribe. And if my team and I can help service you and your real estate goals, just feel free to text the number on the screen. Check out all the free resources down in the description, and we'll catch you on our next video. All right, peace.